So we know what he's saying there. Canty, what Cousins do you expect to show up Sunday?
Well, I don't expect to see the very best version of Kirk Cousins because he's shown us when the stage is at its greatest and the lights are at their brightest, he plays small. And so, I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. We can just go to the numbers. We have tangible evidence. In 1 o'clock starts, Kirk Cousins has a 33-18 record with 101 touchdown passes to 40 interceptions and a 98.7 passer rating. In non-1 o'clock starts, which are the primetime games, 4 o'clock games, 8 o'clock games, Kirk Cousins has an 11-24 record, a 94 passer rating, 54 touchdowns to 31 interceptions.
Yep.
So, I mean, he turns the football over. He makes mistakes that he typically wouldn't when he's on the big stage. And so, yeah, I don't think that anything's going to be different going into this playoff game in the Superdome, which is a tough place to play in the regular season, not even including the postseason. That's going to be a raucous crowd. And then on the other sideline, you got a quarterback like Drew Brees that keeps the pressure on the opposing quarterback. So, yeah, with a banged-up Dalvin Cook, not knowing what version of him you're going to get, I don't expect to see a very good version of Kirk Cousins.
Well, you mentioned the version of Kirk Cousins, and what you're talking about really is, in my opinion, I think Kirk Cousins, he doesn't need to be the hero if this defense can keep it close. That's the big question to me. Can this defense put the Saints in a position where they're not scoring 21 points in the first half? If they can keep this game close, then they can run the football with Dalvin Cook with the injured shoulder. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Now Kirk Cousins doesn't have to be the hero. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm begging this defense. I'm trying to empower them to try to get their job done so I don't have to try to be the hero. But a lot of those primetime games, he had to be the hero because those defenses were giving up a bunch of points, and Kirk Cousins didn't live up to that. This is a run-first offense. This is a team that needs to get the run game going with Dalvin Cook, who really, over the last few weeks, just hasn't been himself. He's been injured, been in and out of the lineup. But when healthy, Dalvin Cook is going to get you 130 yards, plus some yards in the receiving category. That's going to put Kirk Cousins in the position to make him successful. This defense and Dalvin Cook, not Kirk Cousins being the hero.
So a couple things. I don't totally buy into the idea that the lights turn on, the lights get brighter, and Cousins wilts, even though that clearly happens. What I think is more likely the case is, who are you playing in primetime games? The best competition. It's the best games. It's why you're putting them either in the 4 o'clock window or at night. So I think the narrative should be more so not Kirk Cousins can't perform depending on the time of day. And I'm not saying that's what you were saying, but that's what we always hear. 0-8 on Monday Night Football, bad record on Sunday Night Football. It's Kirk Cousins feasts on bad opponents and struggles mightily against good opponents. And that was the case this year as well, even though this year, over the totality of it, you might say this is the best year of his career. How did he do against Green Bay, the team that won the NFC North, their biggest competition? 0 for 2 as far as wins. In 2 games, a combined 355 yards passing. So what's that, 177 yards per game? 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, and an abysmal 56 quarterback rating. Against Seattle, he had a subpar game, a playoff team. Against Kansas City, a game the Vikings lost to Matt Moore. It wasn't Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes. It was Kirk Cousins, Matt Moore. He threw for 220 yards and completed 50% of his passes. There was only one playoff team all year long that Kirk Cousins played well against, Philly. The Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles' defense was really struggling then, not that it ever got great. And so I think you can say Kirk, against the best competition dating back to his time in Washington, has not performed. If he can't perform against the Saints, then the narrative that already exists on him is going to be even further entrenched, and it's going to be fair. Where the Saints are weakest is their pass defense. Additionally, and you brought this point up a few weeks ago, and I think it's been overlooked, the Saints suffered 2 major defensive line injuries. Marcus Davenport, the kid they traded a first-round pick to trade up for to get a couple years ago, and is it Rankins? Sheldon Rankins. And so I know Rankins thought of as more of a run stopper, but Davenport's definitely a pass rusher. You lose 2 defensive linemen, and the Saints already had the 20th ranked pass defense in football. That should be where the Vikings have an edge. If they have an edge anywhere in this game, it should be their wide receivers trying to go downfield. That does put the game on Kirk Cousins' shoulder, because I think the Saints are going to sell out to stop Dalvin Cook and see if Kirk can beat him. And if he doesn't, and I wonder what you think of this, if the Vikings, and he's got 1 year left on his deal and they'll probably finish it out, but if he can't win this football game and he's up against the odds here going in the Superdome, I think they look at it and say, we hired Kirk Cousins, we signed him to get us over the top, and he's just not quite good enough to do that.
No, you'll absolutely be right. I mean, Kirk Cousins would not have fulfilled his end of the bargain. That's why they went out and signed him a couple of years ago, because they had a defense that was a championship caliber unit. They were just waiting for the offense to come along, and so much of that has to do with getting solid quarterback play. Now, in this Gary Kubiak offense, it's user-friendly when it comes to the quarterback position. When you get to the line of scrimmage, and ain't a whole bunch of checks at the line. I mean, it's essentially get up there and run the play, and a lot of that is inside zone, outside zone, and then operate off of play action, get him on the edge, and throw down the field and give him clear windows with bootlegs. So I look at Kirk Cousins, it couldn't have been set up for him any better in terms of being able to have success. You got Adam Thielen back now. You're supposed to have Dalvin Cook back now. You're all out of excuses. Yep. You got Kyle Rudolph, you got Irv Smith. You've got the supporting cast to be able to get the job done. If you don't go down there and at least put this team in position where they can be competitive against what we all believe is one of the best teams in football in the New Orleans Saints, then this narrative that has followed him from D.C. to Minnesota will continue into 2020.
Can you slow down Drew Brees? I mean, if this is going to be a 38-35 game, then Kirk Cousins isn't your guy. But if it can be a 17-14 game with the Vikings defense playing better, I think Kirk Cousins can win a game.
And if it is a 38-30, if the final score is 38-35 Saints, I don't think people are coming out killing Kirk Cousins. I think if they just lose a shootout to them and he plays well.
If it looks like the Seattle Seahawks game on Monday night, people aren't going to blame Kirk Cousins.
Exactly right. And so if he can match points and they just end up losing, but if the Saints blow them out and the Vikings are held under 20, then I think people rightfully are going to say just the biggest moments are a little too big. All right, on to the other NFC match. John Dorsey on Tuesday. A new report also said that offensive coordinator Todd Monken told opposing coaches before games the team was, quote, a total mess. B, what do you make of this latest mess out of Cleveland?
I'm not surprised. I mean, when you don't have the correct culture and character at the top, it has a way of working its way down from the coaches to the players. When we saw the coaches say it, we're hearing in this report, we know the players have said it throughout the season. You have to have the right culture. They're searching for that right culture. They got rid of the coach. They got rid of John Dorsey the other day. So at some point, they're trying to find that thing. They have to find a leader in that building. They haven't found it yet.
Well, the most important thing that the general manager has to do is find a quarterback and find a head coach. Now, we thought after his rookie year that John Dorsey did a great job in that draft in taking Baker Mayfield because he broke the rookie touchdown passing record through 27 TDs in his first year. But you recognize in year two that he made the wrong decision in elevating what started out as a position coach in 2018 in Freddie Kitchens to your head coach, a job that he wasn't qualified for. And
John Dorsey on Tuesday. A new report also said that offensive coordinator Todd Monken told opposing coaches before games the team was, quote, a total mess. B, what do you make of this latest mess out of Cleveland?
I'm not surprised. I mean, when you don't have the correct culture and character at the top, it has a way of working its way down from the coaches to the players. When we saw the coaches say it, we're hearing in this report, we know the players have said it throughout the season. You have to have the right culture. They're searching for that right culture. They got rid of the coach. They got rid of John Dorsey the other day. So at some point, they're trying to find that thing. They have to find a leader in that building. They haven't found it yet.
Well, the most important thing that the general manager has to do is find a quarterback and find a head coach. Now, we thought after his rookie year that John Dorsey did a great job in that draft in taking Baker Mayfield because he broke the rookie touchdown passing record through 27 TDs in his first year. But you recognize in year two that he made the wrong decision in elevating what started out as a position coach in 2018 in Freddie Kitchens to your head coach, a job that he wasn't qualified for. And you saw it in the results when this team hit the first stretch of adversity. It crumbled from play calling decisions to setting the agenda for the team. Freddie Kitchens failed in every regard. And so they're holding John Dorsey, their general manager, accountable for making that decision because Freddie Kitchens should have never been put in the position he was in 2019 in the first place.
The Browns obviously have enormous issues. Since Jimmy Haslam took over in 2012, they're going to be on their 6th general manager in 8 years. That's unforgivable. With all that said, the person who took this news the worst, I'm sure was Dorsey, but second worst had to have been Baker. Baker lost his rabbi in the organization now. John DePodesta is going to take over. He does not have the loyalty to Baker that someone who drafted him #1 overall will. So Baker, if the pressure already wasn't on him enough for year 3, now it is on him immensely because it's now on the board that a year from now they could move on from Baker Mayfield. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings will be in New Orleans to face the Saints Sunday on Fox. In the regular season, Cousins just 4-4 on the road. Saints defensive end and friend of this show, Cam Jordan, had some, well, interesting comments about Kirk Cousins on the Rich Eisen show. Here they are.
The issue of knowing what type of Dalvin Cook you're going to get. What do you think on that front?